Hey everybody, welcome and thank you for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. My name is Zach Brittle. Let's see. Today I'm here with Mike and Caroline Neubauer. It was such a delight talking to these guys. I love talking to people who are clear about their vision, they know what they're about, and they know why they're about it. And these guys have a really cool story about how they built their business and their family. And it was just fun to talk to them. I think you'll get a kick out of particularly how they met and decided to make it work together. Before we get started, I want to thank all of you who are Patreon subscribers. It's been really fun to be interacting with you and sending in your Ask Zach questions. We've got a new one coming up for you here pretty soon. Being a member at Patreon is the best way to support Marriage Therapy Radio. You can do that by going to patreon.com/Marriage Therapy Radio or go to marriagetherapyradio.com and just click on the Patreon button. Also want to remind you that if you're in or near Philadelphia, I've got a relational life therapy boot camp coming up. It is a great way to come either as an individual or with your partner to learn relationship skills. I'm teaching that with a friend and colleague, Julie Rudiger. That is in November 8th and 9th. And we have an early bird discount through October 12th. So you got about a week left to get that. If you're interested, shoot me an email, info@marriagetherapyradio.com. And for now, I'm excited to share the story of Mike and Caroline Neubauer. I want to thank those guys for coming on the show. This is a very cool conversation. Stick around. Mike and Caroline Neubauer, tell me a little bit about who you guys. What's your elevator speech in a nutshell about your couple? I know you have Our Family Invests angle, but more than that, who are you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I would say we're probably your typical couple. We're not anything crazy special in any kind of way. I was a firefighter, retired from my W-2 job through real estate investing because we were seeking financial freedom, and that was our avenue to get there. And now we host a couples podcast, and trying to understand what brings couples together and what drives them to be the best versions of themselves while they're building entrepreneurial businesses and chasing financial freedom like we have.
Right on.
Yeah.
And then Caroline, what's your origin story?
Well, I was born in Taiwan and adopted and grew up in Canada and Hawaii every year with snowbird parents and met Mike. He was my first boyfriend, first kiss. And we have a son named Nico. And just we've done the work. We've done the blood, sweat, and tears on continuing to build a life on our terms. And we're trying to pass that on to our son and be a platform for those couples around us who don't want to sacrifice their family while building wealth.
Right on. How old is Nico?
He's 9.
9. Are you guys one and done, or do you know, or you do you feel like you is that
we are one and
question?
Done?
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah, I think that's always an interesting moment for couples because there's a difference, of course, between growing your family and being your family. But you guys are a unit of 3. You said something, Mike, that I'm interested in hearing about. You said we have a platform where we try to learn about what brings couples together. Is that how you said it? What does bring couples together? What have you found out?
Well, I think that, most of them have some kind of a strong why, meaning that their vision is bigger than them individually. And it's something that they reach towards together. And, how they get there is always a process, right? But it's always interesting to hear those stories.
And I think one of the continuous threads is that they are in it to be successful together, so that their team, them as a unit, their family is more important than the accolades. And so sometimes it has those come to terms moments, but that seems to be what continues to propel them forward.
How did you guys come together?
Yeah, we met on a beach out here on Maui.
In a canoe.
Pretty typical story.
In an outrigger canoe. Yeah.
Yeah, we were, I was actually teaching Hawaiian culture and outrigger canoe paddling at the Four Seasons out here on Maui. And
I came as a guest.
It was open to residents and guests of the hotel. And most local people didn't know that it was open to the public. And so I saw her standing at the top of the stairs. There's a stairways down to the beach, and I'm standing outside this outrigger canoe, and I just see her. I kind of do a double take, and I leaned over to my partner that I was working with, and I said, "Man, I think I'm in love." And no joke, from that moment on,
pre-words,
oh yeah, before I ever spoke to her, and from the moment that I saw her, I was in love, and I knew that my life was switching directions. A new chapter had opened that day.
And I was not.
Yeah. What was your deal? Were you like, did you know that you were immediately targeted as the future spouse of Mike Neubauer? Like, what
Definitely not. But he did ask me on a date. And
that day?
No, because I was studying photography and he's a landscape photographer by trade. And so we started talking about apertures and angles and just different photography lingo. And so he offered to take me shooting, and I said yes. And then he asked me on a date, and I said no. But I said we could go to dinner as friends, and we were friends for over a year. After that, he asked me out again, and 2 days later, we looked at engagement rings, and then the rest was history.
Okay, that's pretty uncharacteristic or non-traditional. Like, how do you defend? I don't want to say defend it, but like, how do you make sense of that particular, say, 370, 80 day process?
Are you asking me or Caroline in this one?
Either, both of you. Yeah, I'd be curious to know.
Sure. So, when we met, we had this instant connection, and that was something where we knew that we were aligned in so many ways. We were different in a lot of ways. And I'm 10 years older than her. And when we met, I think I was 28, she was 18. So, when we started connecting and actually hanging out, it was almost like a dopamine hit every single time that we got together. And so we just always wanted to be together. It didn't matter what we were doing, right? Whether we were watching movies or cooking or paddling kayaks or, snorkeling, surfing, whatever. We just wanted to be together. And so there was a kind of aha moment in there at some point where it was like, I kept wanting more. Though our friendship was building, it was also this point where it was like, look, I have decided that I'm going to change my life. I'm going to be the person that I need to be in order to attract a woman like this as my wife. And so this is probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 months in maybe. And we had to have that sit down discussion where it was like, look, I really like you. And you know that. And I know that I'm not your type. Is this a beneficial thing for us to be hanging out with each other every single day for 12 hours a day if there's no sense that this is going to go anywhere? Or are we cheating each other out of potentially finding our perfect spouse?
Because you seeing other people during that year? Is that an open opportunity?
We didn't even hold hands, nothing.
No. There's no one else. My eyes had one person locked in it, and hers did too.
I was busy.
She had never dated anyone. She was not interested in that. She just, we weren't concerned with anyone else. It was just a matter of like, hey, I'm not getting any younger, and I really like you. And if this is not going to be a thing, it's going to break my heart even harder going forward if we keep this up. So it might be a good move for us to just call it quits. And like, I hate to say like no more friendship, but I can't. And so, we tried that for a couple of days, I think, maybe 2 days, 3 days, maybe 36 hours. I don't know.
Yeah, because I wasn't ready to commit to that.
And it was like, you know what? We can't be apart. And so we're like, a magnet being pulled back together. And so we're like, you know what? Let's just keep going, because I don't want to do this without you.
Caroline, did you just say I wasn't ready to commit to not being together? Is that what you just said?
To commit to being together as a couple.
Got it. Okay. I thought you were saying I wasn't ready. We were apart for 36 hours, but I wasn't ready to commit to that. I was like, that's an interesting angle, but all right. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we had kind of grown our relationship so that we both knew like we both knew that we liked each other. But I think that, Caroline was scared because she had never had a relationship. She had never held anyone's hand. She had never thought of having a relationship. And she was scared that like, well, if this does go sour, it's the end of my best friend.
Yeah. And I think just, so I grew up every year actually with my youth group. We would make our wants and needs list for our future spouse. And a lot of those things at the beginning, plus not knowing him, I didn't know what he aligned with on what I thought I needed in a future spouse at that time. And so that takes time to get to know someone. And I've been through so many friendships up until that point that didn't want friendship. And so they only wanted relationship, and I wasn't interested in that. I knew that part. And so we grew a lot. We challenged each other a lot. We had a lot of hard conversations. We had a lot of deep conversations because we were getting to know each other and spending time, and there were no strings attached. So I think that probably helped us form a very unique bond where by the time we evolved into growing together as friends and people and compatibility, it was a formality at that point to move forward.
Okay. So about a year later, you had this new conversation. And how did you make the transition? How did you know? Or what was that? How did that happen?
It was kind of like that 4-month, 5-month conversation where like, I don't think we can continue to do this if it's not going anywhere because it's unhealthy for both of us and the people around us. And so growing up kind of more old fashioned, I did ask him if he were to ask me again, I would probably say yes. And he was humble enough to ask me if I would consider dating him. And I said yes. And then, like I said, we went and looked at engagement rings so he would know what he needed to pick at some point forward 2 days later. And then we got engaged 8 months later after that.
All right. Okay. So from start to finish, it was about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not start to finish. And then how long have you been married?
15 years.
Okay. So here you are. You have sort of the back end, 2025. You've got this perspective, this platform. How did you find that, over the course of 15 years? How did you go from we're just young friends trying to build a thing to becoming leaders in this space?
I think, it's funny because we met each other when obviously she was very young, right? So she wasn't even in college when we met.
Yeah.
And so she had just graduated high school. I'm 28. I still haven't found my way. I'm still maturing, right? Because I'm slow. I was always this artistic kind of person. I went to art school. I graduated from art school. I had a million different entrepreneurial journeys that all failed. And she was with me for that. She saw that I was my own person and I never really had a job working for anyone before. And I remember, I was a graphic designer. I had a graphic design company and I did that for a long time. And one of my set of clients was a group of firefighters. And they're like, dude, just take the fire department test. It's great. You work 10 days a month. You get your insurance taken care of. You can be a photographer on the side. You can do the design stuff on the side. Like you get a stable paycheck. And I'm like, man, that does sound kind of good. And so, this was probably a few years of them telling me to take this test. And finally I did. And the doors kept opening and I kept walking through. So I became a firefighter shortly after we got married. From there, I had a senior firefighter a couple years later when I transitioned into my final station. That was a real estate investor. And he was kind of doing it on the side. And I just started learning from him. He would share all his data with me. And I just caught a bug. I was like, man, I could do this. This is my ticket. Let's go. And so, we started investing in real estate and it became one thing after another was like, okay, we understand how this works. And we started making decent money in that, to the point where we got to the stage where we were making more passively off of real estate investing than the W-2 job was bringing in. And it was at that point where it was like, all right, let's go all in. And so we did, because our bigger why was to have more time to spend with our kid, to build those experiences and to fill those kind of buckets.
Mm-hmm. And Caroline, what were you doing in parallel while Mike's building?
Yeah.
I mean, you're a student, I guess, and then you're like...
Yeah, student. I had different jobs where I was more office, clerical, managing staff and scheduling. And then we had our son, so full-time mom, and also managing our rentals. So we started with, we scraped our condos down to stud. We learned all of the ins and outs of that, from the cleaning to the guest management. Four Seasons background did help with hospitality, and that was one of my majors. And so after that, with the taste of real estate, I got my real estate agent license so I could learn the acquisition as well as the sales side and the contract side, because then it helps us represent ourselves on deals, also in different markets. There was just a lot of positives to that. So after doing that, our network was pretty great word of mouth. And so that continued to grow the different people in the community that we spend time with. And fast forwarding that, it kind of birthed the idea of, we have been so fortunate to see a different type of lifestyle that we didn't get to grow up with, where there are successful entrepreneurs in our lives that have amazing families. And so how do we get to do that? And we have had so many beautiful humans in our lives, and we knew that not everyone can have access to these people that we've been blessed with. But Mike had been asking me for a couple of years to do the podcast, and it just seemed like, get over the fears for the greater purpose and the greater why, because this is possible for families. This is possible to chase after your dreams, to have a thriving relationship, and to have your kids want to spend time with you. So that was kind of the purpose of that.
So you're getting really good at real estate, and you're learning as much as you can about that. You're taking your condo down to studs. You're getting your license. You're getting smarter from your mentors or whatever else. In parallel, though, how are you stewarding the relationship itself? Like, is that hard? Is that easy? Do you have disagreements? Do you have blind spots? Like, where does that come up for you?
Yeah, for Mike or myself, or
yeah, just for you guys as a couple. I'll take either one of you or both of you. It's
yeah, of course we have disagreements and miscommunications, but we also have that never-ending purpose that we're in this together. We both want the same things. We both want the success. We want to have a great vibe at home, and so communication, scheduled date nights, coaching. We get coached from family to business to mindset because we see the value in it. And that has definitely shaped us as people.
Yeah, I think if you're talking from the business aspect of how it worked and integrating that with the family aspect, it's roles and responsibilities, right? We kind of know what our lanes are, and we had that communication, and we talked clearly about that, and we put in the systems in place where it's like, okay, this falls into my category, this falls into your category.
And we've learned what hasn't worked the hard way. And
sometimes
so
you change lanes, or
we pivot.
Man, have you ever felt like life gets too busy, work, kids, responsibility, that your relationship starts to feel like it's running on autopilot? This came up recently in my conversation with Mike and Caroline. They've been married for a while. They've got a lot going on with their business, their adventures, and taking care of aging parents, and they admitted that staying truly connected takes intention. That's where Paired comes in. It's the #1 app for couples who want to keep their bond strong. You and your partner both download the app and you pair together every day. Paired gives you personalized questions, quizzes, and games that help you communicate better, spark deeper conversations, and have fun, all in about 5 minutes. My favorite part, when Rebecca and I have used it, is that you can't see your partner's answer until after you share yours. It's a safe place for real honesty and genuine connection. No guessing, no pretending. We recently answered a prompt about what we most admire about one another, and it turned into one of the more meaningful conversations we've had in the last few months. So whether you're just a few dates in, or you've got a whole bunch of years under your belt, or maybe even a couple of decades like Rebecca and I, take 5 minutes a day to nourish your relationship. Head to paired.com/MTR to start your 7-day free trial. You'll also get 25% off when you subscribe. That's paired.com, PAIRED.com/MTR. I know a lot of people listening who maybe are in this kind of entrepreneurial space as a family. Like, what have you found has been successful in terms of drawing lines between like work you and home you? Like, do you clock out? Do you have specific rituals that help you do that? Or what is the pattern there?
For us, I think it's actually helped us to be able to work together in different areas, but being on the same page, being able to talk the same language has actually been great. And there isn't always that divide of like, work life, home life. This is just part of our life. This is part of our child's life. So he's been on the job. Like, he knows what we talk about. He knows about rehabs and budgets and things like that. But also, we, at the end of the day, dinner time, sports, like, we definitely invest in that.
We do stick with a calendar, Zach. We have a, 8 a.m. I start work, 4 p.m. that's done. Right. And then it's family time. So basically the hours Monday through Friday when my son is in school until he comes home, like, that's work time. And she's on her work schedule and we share calendars. So we know exactly what each other are doing. And we do have those date nights. We do have those, we call them coffee ands. So like we have like date days where it's like, hey, let's have coffee and whatever comes next.
We had to pivot our nights to be able to, we want to spend time with our son. So, and we want to go to the sports events. So the daytimes worked best for us.
Coffee ands. I like that. I've never heard that phrase before, but it's, yeah.
Yeah. We talk through all the things, right? The business stuff, the family stuff, all of that is, incorporated in the coffee ands. And if we're doing something after hours, we love talking about what we do.
We do.
Like, we love sharing ideas and strategies and hearing from each other. And what is your goals? And let's revisit, like, what is your vision? What do you want to accomplish this month, this year, in the next 5 years, 10 years, whatever? And are we in line to do that?
Yeah. And are you?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
I think because of our communication has been really spot on with each other, that's something that we made a non-negotiable very early on in our relationship, that we are very well aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it becomes just about the dollar, then we're not doing it.
Interesting.
Period.
And your business, your real estate business, is mostly Hawaii, or you're all over the place?
For her,
Agent side is Hawaii.
She's an agent. She buys and sells stuff here for clients. For me, I take care of more of the investing side of things, and we're all over. So we have stuff here in Hawaii. We have stuff in the Pacific Northwest. We have stuff, in the Southwest. So we have things all over
in the
place.
United States.
All in the States.
Yeah. So as you guys have grown, as your business has grown, you have the real estate piece, but then you added coaching and helping other couples and families. Is that
we don't coach.
So yeah,
is that a side hustle that you have, or how do you define this?
Officially coach anyone. Yeah. That is something like we have people that we
get coached.
We get coached. Yeah. But we do real estate meetups, and we talk to a lot of real estate investors, and we help them kind of get started when we can. We share, our podcast has a lot of real estate investors on it. A lot of people who have been pretty successful in that space, and other business owners too. But we like to hear their stories, their struggles, and what has worked for them, and what they would recommend doing right now, right? So as far as coaching, I used to coach real estate investing. I don't do that anymore. Now my desire is to spend all my free time with my family.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys do with your free time? When you clock out at 4, what happens next for you guys?
It's been a lot of basketball lately. Our son's 9 and he's been getting into basketball. We have a lot of deep conversations with him, and it's a lot of it is just, we take every day to its fullest. And we like to be able to share the things that, we want to instill upon him. The qualities, the characteristics. And we do.
We have fun Fridays, and we just started incorporating those. So we all take a turn to plan a fun Friday for our family. And then
including Nico?
Yep. So he gets a night, and his was last week. And so it's from meal to activity to just a time to bond. And then once a month, we incorporate, we kind of do that every Wednesday too, but with the neighborhood kids. And it's just like a fun, safe place where people are kind and they're having a great time. That's been a fun thing that has brought us and our community together. So we love that. Aloha Fridays with our community, beach days.
Yeah, but we're always doing stuff and we're always including him. So when we do clock out, he's included in whatever we're doing. So
Real
if we're
estate
planning
meetups.
a trip, it's like, hey, let's plan a vacation, or let's go hiking, or let's go to the beach, or whatever it's going to be. He's involved 100%.
What did he plan for last Friday?
Yeah. So last Friday,
he had $30 budget, so he could include that in his meal, or he could use what was in the fridge, and that's for the activity as well.
Yep. And so he's responsible for. I'll help him cook, or she'll help him cook, or whatever. But the dinner included was bruschetta. So we made homemade bruschetta for dinner, and then he made these like some kind of package he found at the grocery store of like. It was this Japanese candy, but it's like in the form of sushi.
It looks like
so
sushi.
It's complete garbage, but the process was such that like you adding water and you're mixing it with this other thing, and it makes this like
a science experiment.
Cotton candy type of thing, and you're doing it was a science experiment.
Yeah.
But it was fun, it was cute, and then it turned into okay, then we're going to play
driving.
Asphalt Legends on the Nintendo Switch, followed by you can watch me play Fortnite. So
you're allowed to watch me play Fortnite. And do you get into that? Like, is that a thing? Do you honor that? You're like, okay, great, let's do it. Let's watch you play.
Yeah, because
or you like also reading the paper while he plays Fortnite?
No. For me, it's what lights him up. Yeah. Right. And if that lights him up, then okay, we're going to do that. Now, I'm not the dad that's going to say, hey, you can play Nintendo 6 days a week for 3 hours a day. That's a once in a week, maybe for an hour type of thing in our household. So we're not
that's why it was special.
People.
Yeah.
But on Friday nights, if that's what you want to do, then that's what we all want to do.
Yeah.
And so there are times where it's like, let's play Minecraft. I don't know what a Minecraft is, but I'll go sit down and I'll play Minecraft with you because that's what you want to do. Okay.
Can I switch gears for a second? I think I read you guys have you're taking care of Caroline's parents. Is that right? Tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah.
So both of them have dementia. I was adopted, as I mentioned previously. They were almost 50 when they adopted me. So they're much, much older. So we're kind of going through that phase earlier than later. And they also live in Canada. So so there is a divide. So we've traveled back and forth about 6 times over the summer to assist them with different things, and that is no joke.
Yeah.
So we are learning a lot. We are still in it, but not as intensely. But they are both in a care facility, and they're safe. And we're hoping to relocate them when the time is right. But yeah, it's
eye-opening every day. And
it is.
Learning the system and the struggles within the system is legit.
And how to be prepared too, with as simple as your kids should know your email passwords, because you have two-factor authenticators for everything. And so things like that are definitely challenging. So I'm grateful to have my family alongside for support.
Yeah. What are you learning about dementia?
Well, yesterday I learned that you should not deliver a box full of chocolates because you may forget that you've eaten any of them and eat all of them, and then you don't eat a nutritious lunch. So things like that, where dementia is in my opinion, is one of the cruelest diseases, because it's just the safety measures that have to be in place for people with dementia feel like jail. And there are nicer ones than others, but it's so sad. It's
I think one of the problems is that the systems are overloaded, and there's so many people that this disease afflicts, and there's so few resources for it. And so, where her parents are, it's not a bad place, all things considered, but it's sad going in there because there's 10, 15 other patients there with dementia, and they're all, none of them know what's going on. None of them know what they're doing. You have to train them all that you cannot use Sharpies as lipstick. It's not a good idea, right? And there's new things that come up like that every day. It's almost like watching these grown adults move backwards in time, right? Mm-hmm. Now they're 3-year-olds again. And that's so scary, and it's so sad to see that their dignity is just gone.
Yeah. And to not dishonor that, but also realize that your relationship with them as your parent is very different. And now you are like the parent.
Yeah. I think the biggest piece of advice that we learned when diving into this was you meet them where they are. Mm-hmm. So yesterday, apparently, I got married to one of the dementia patients living next door.
Residents. They're known as residents.
Residents, right, that lives next door. And so Caroline had to be like, yeah, well, how was the wedding and everything, right? Because they're telling her that, oh, we saw Mike this morning. He was getting married to Georgia or whatever her name is that lives next door, right? Oh, how was the dress? What was her dress look like? And like, what did you have for lunch? And
because they're humans, they still have feelings. And so they're going to cling on to that feeling. So if you make someone feel shamed or embarrassed, they're going to hang on to that feeling rather than the actual content. And tomorrow, it'll be something new.
Are you dealing with them primarily on like FaceTime? Or are you talking about video conferencing and stuff? Okay.
Yeah, it does help for video. But I think that's just something we've had to learn the hard way too, is like, don't try and reason with someone with dementia. So we're navigating that.
Yeah. And how do you take care of each other in that process?
Yeah. It was so jam-packed with what we've had to accomplish in a very short amount of time. And ideally, this would not happen in a 6-week period, all the changes. But I think just like knowing that you have someone as your right hand that you don't have to ask, they are there for you. And they also can, when they feel your energy is down to 30, that they can step in. That is so huge. And just knowing that you have unconditional love is massive. So I'm super grateful.
I think for me, it's just making sure that you're living in the moment and not worrying about what's going to happen in the future and not dwelling on the things that have happened in the past, but being right here, right now, in this moment. And knowing your partner's love language is important too. What do they need? Do they need a hug, right? Do they need to be told that they're amazing? Okay.
Yeah. I've been saying for a little while, like, I think that the secret to a happy marriage is pretty simple. It's doing more things that your partner likes and fewer things that your partner doesn't like.
That's great.
And it seems like you guys are pretty attuned to that. It's like you have a pretty good awareness of one another's likes and dislikes, your love languages, what you need, and a really high commitment to, staying aligned at the values level. I wanted to ask this kind of trite question about like, okay, great. What advice do you have for other couples? You've given a lot of it, but like, if I just pretended like I knew the secret, do more of what they like, less of what would you say? What would you pretend if you knew the secret to happy, healthy relationships? What would it be?
I would say that cliche, communication is key. And then knowing your why. Know why you are together. Know what you're working towards, because that makes the noise. It makes it passable. It makes it achievable because there's a greater purpose.
Yeah. I mean, it does boil down to communication. And, you guys may have this out where you are too, but we have this event out here. It's called Walk a Mile in Their Shoes. And it's like, we would get together as firefighters and, we did this in the department and we would walk in high heels, right? Just to kind of understand, like for a mile or whatever it is, I don't know, but just to kind of understand, what somebody else is going through, because you don't really know. So if you can kind of break down those walls, have the communication, understand what they are going through or how they're seeing something, that's so huge to kind of redirect your selfish opinion sometimes.
Yeah, or give grace when it's needed, like not everyone's going to be 100 all the time. And so in those times, do I really need to pick that battle right now? Because it's probably not directed at me.
That's amazing. Do you know that joke about walking a mile in somebody's shoes? It's like if you're in an argument with somebody, just walk a mile in your shoes, because then you're a mile away and you have their shoes.
I've never heard that one before.
It's a terrible joke, but it's, obviously it's clever. Well, very cool. I'm glad to hear your story. What should we know about you guys? How, if people want to listen to your podcast or they want to learn from you, like what is it that you guys are bringing to the table, or how should I point people in your direction?
Yeah, I mean, we're on Instagram. That's probably the best way to get in touch with us. We're at Our Family Invests. And, our podcast is the same. It's called Our Family Invest. And we interview inspiring entrepreneurial couples and just kind of see how they are keeping what matters most front and center in their lives.
Mm-hmm. And what if there's a through line? Is it the same? Is it communication and knowing their why, or what is the secret to people who are keeping what matters most as the through line of their lives?
Yeah, I mean,
or front and
with
center
the
in their
people
lives,
that we've talked to, it always comes down to communication.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time.
Mm-hmm. And just for clarity's sake, because I bet you have it like in a nice little package, what is your why?
Our why is to be able to do what we want, where we want, with whom we want, when we want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that, for us, it's our child. It's bringing him with and to see him growing into the person that we want him to become, and we know that he can become, to reach his full potential.
Yeah. So what's next for you guys? Do you know? When you think about next, what's on the list?
Yeah. So, like I said before, I'm a in the moment kind of person.
Yeah.
And so I'm enjoying this very moment. I love doing the podcast and having conversations with amazing people. I love learning from them. Mm-hmm. We're still very much into real estate. We are looking at the option of, maybe moving somewhere for a year or something and doing like a, live abroad, a world school kind of thing. I don't know. We're just slightly starting talking about that. But, the adventure is always open. And I think that learning is done through travel and through experience more than it is in the classroom. And we want to be able to develop Nico as best as we can.
Right on. So do you have a bucket list? Do you have a bucket list of places that you want to go?
Our bucket lists are pretty different, to be honest.
Yeah.
So we need to work on those.
Right.
Or maybe we'll have to we have plans where we can stop by each other's buckets or reconvene at a joint bucket list place. But we definitely have different ideas of ideal travel.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, if I ever make it to Hawaii, I'll give you a shout. If you're ever in the Pacific Northwest, you know how to find me. I'm in Seattle. I think I might be there in the spring. I got invited to speak at some event that I'm still learning about. I don't know exactly if it's going to come together, but I'll definitely give you a heads up if I'm headed your way.
Cool.
Please
It'll be fun.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks for visiting.
Thanks, Zach.
Okay, cool. Mike and Caroline Neubauer, thank you for coming on the show. You can find more about them on Instagram at Our Family Invests. Also, a reminder again about the Relational Life Therapy Fierce Intimacy Workshop, which is in November in Philadelphia. Would love to see you there. You can shoot me an email at info@marriagetherapyradio.com if you're interested. Also want to thank Paired for sponsoring this episode. A good way to support Marriage Therapy Radio is to go on your browser to paired.com/MTR and take advantage of an opportunity to be more connected to your partner. For now, thank you for the time and attention you put into making your relationship better today than it was yesterday.